What's going on, people? Welcome back to Curtis Shaw TV, back with another live stream today. We'll be looking at the latest Arsenal news. We're being linked with a new striker as a potential replacement for Alexander Lacazette. William Saliba looks as if he could be heading back to Arsenal this summer. Finally, man, give the man a chance. He's got the talent, man. Give him a chance. And audio. Well, we got audio problems. Oh no, hold on 1 second. Let me back up. Can you hear me now, people? Let me know in the comments if you can hear me now. Let me know. I've unplugged it and plugged it back in. It's one of them days, isn't it, people? YouTube's ramping. Just give me a thumbs up. Let me know if you can hear me all right. And then I'll carry on. It's one of them days, people. All right, proper things now. We're good people. We're good people, right? And also, obviously, them lot down the road have appointed a certain manager. And I put a tweet out earlier. And all I did was ask a question. It's just a debate, people. I said, listen, because earlier on in the season when I suggested getting Conte, a lot of people were like, forget it. You can't get Conte. You know, there's no point even talking about it. So my simple point was the fact that you've seen Conte go to them lot down the road, if you knew you could have got him, would you have changed the manager earlier on in the season? I'm putting slow mode on, people, because you're flying in the comments already. And it caused all sorts of debate, man, on Twitter. Twitter is not the best place to hold a debate, is it? Because some people can't understand the word debate and they go crazy. Oh, my God, why are you talking about Conte for? You know what I mean? But listen, it was just one of them questions. I wondered what people thought. You know, I remember a few years ago, there was a rumor that Wenger didn't leave when we could have got Klopp. And a lot of people said, oh, if I'd have known we could have got Klopp then, Wenger should have gone then. But listen, it is what it is. It's interesting that they didn't want to give him what he wanted in the summer, and they gave it him now. You're right, Sammy. Twitter is not for debates. Twitter gets people real angry for some reason. I don't know why. But listen, let's talk about Arsenal anyway. This is going to be a short-ish stream today, about 45 minutes. We will be back tonight as well for the watch-along, which is going to be Atalanta against Manchester United. So if you're interested in that, make sure you join me for that one later. Champions League, we'll be doing Liverpool against Atletico Madrid tomorrow. Just because Arsenal aren't in it, we still got to feel a part of what's going on. And then obviously lots at the weekend. We're doing Man United, Man City on Saturday, and we'll be doing Arsenal, Watford on Sunday, of course. So make sure you join me for all of those videos. But some good news finally, people, regarding William Saliba. I mean, I had Kevin Campbell on yesterday. Big up to Kev. It was a great show. Wasn't planned at all. He just popped up in the comments. We got him on here. It was nice to have a positive Arsenal conversation. We're moving in the right direction. I'm not totally convinced yet by the manager, but at least there is some reason for optimism and some hope. And I see a few of you there talking about Conte. But in terms of William Saliba, Sam Dean has done an interview and he said, that from Saliba's perspective, his expectation and desire as it stands is to come back to Arsenal and prove himself at last. key words there at last. He's definitely waited a long time. He is soon beginning a new course of English lessons. I might need them myself. English lessons to help improve his language skills, and he remains in contact with his Arsenal teammates. Get him back. Bring him home, people. I'm coming home. I'm coming home. Tell Arteta I'm coming home. Get him back in there, people. Just imagine a back three of Gabriel, Saliba, and Ben White. Now we're cooking, people. Now we're cooking. Even if it's a 4-4-2, it's good competition. You know, he's got to go toe-to-toe with Ben White, if possible, or Benjamin White. Apologies. So listen, good news at last. He's doing English lessons. He wants to speak the language better. He's preparing to come back. There is a full report where you can read more upon this story, but it's saying that the expectation was always for Saliba to come back this summer, that he was, you know, they expect him to play. I think what Arsenal believed was, even though I don't totally agree with it, and I do think Saliba could have been in the Arsenal door this season, I think the belief was he needed higher level of competition. This is what the story is saying. Don't shoot the messenger. The belief was he needed to play at a high level under more pressure. No disrespect to Nice, Saint Etienne, but Marseille is a big, big football club. Massive history, fanatical fan base. They play in Europe as well. That's a good point. I mean, Shamba, what would you say? And listen, I don't. Again, they should both be our players next season. Shamba saying Saliba is better than Ben White. What would you say? I mean, the only thing I would say with that, it's difficult because we haven't seen Saliba in the Prem. The Prem is unforgiving. No disrespect to Liga, but you're not going to play against that same level of striker every week that you play against in the Premier League. Do you know what I mean? Big up Jay Jashar said, big up Curtis. Arteta's interview didn't sound overly positive about integrating Saliba in the squad next season. Again, I said the same thing. And again, I put it on Twitter. I think I have to stop saying it. People are, you read too much into everything Arteta says. I said, listen, my only point was, Arteta said two things. He said, number one, we will sit down and discuss what's best for him in the summer. Now, if your plan was point blank, I'm bringing him back to Arsenal next season, surely you don't have to have those meetings. It's clear and obvious that he comes back. Fair enough, maybe he just wants to see how Saliba feels about the situation. Another thing that he said as well was it will depend on other people in the squad. He was basically saying that we had too many centre-backs and that we may have to kind of get rid of somebody to get him in. Now, to me, I'm like, Pablo Mari, Callum Chambers, Rob Holding, those guys should have no impact on the future of William Saliba. They just shouldn't. He's far better than all three of them. We can have our debates about Gabriel, Ben White, Saliba, and whatever order you put those three in. But Saliba is better than those guys. So even if those guys are not leaving, Saliba should be coming back regardless. Even if we have to loan out Rob Holding or loan out Pablo Mari, this guy has to be back in the door next season. I think what he's proved this season, I did the watch along, if for anybody who tuned in when Marseille played against PSG, and I thought, this is going to really let me know how he can handle that big occasion. That night, Mbappe played through the middle, and he dealt with him. Mbappe had one little turn where he kind of got away from him, put a cross in, but it was cleared. Apart from that, did nothing. Saliba dealt with the atmosphere. The fans were fired up. And I thought he can handle the Premier League. Because let me tell you, that Marseille PSG game is a big, big atmosphere. Like BX Gunner says, Marseille v PSG had an atmosphere never seen in London. Why would he come back? Now, this is my only issue. And Kevin Campbell yesterday said, he's our player. It's our decision. Doesn't matter type of thing, what he wants to do. It's our choice. But I think the way Arteta is, if William Saliba went to Mikel Arteta and said, I want to stay at Marseille, I don't want to come back to Arsenal, and Marseille were willing to put a good price on the table, would Arteta force the issue and say, listen, I don't care if you want to leave or not, you're coming back? Or would he say, do you know what, I've got good options? It's all ifs and buts and maybes. What I'm saying is, I don't think it's always as clear as you're contracted, so you're staying. When players want to leave, there are some managers, and you hear managers say it in interviews. Some managers say, if a player doesn't want to be here, we don't want him here. Now, I hope that Saliba gets an opportunity. Arteta didn't dismiss him coming back. So we have to hope that, he finishes the season. He's had 9 clean sheets this season already. So he's doing something right. That is for certain. Hit the likes, people, and subscribe. 1,000 of you in the chat. Apologies, I was 15 minutes late today. Honestly, there's something going wrong on YouTube at the moment. If you check it out on social media, there'll be a lot of people moaning. Like YouTube itself is down at the moment. I wasn't even sure whether it was going to let me go live when I went live. So I'm happy to be here. Better late than never, people, So big up to all of you for tuning in. Like I said, like the video, subscribe if you haven't already. We'll be back tonight, 7:45 for Atalanta against Manchester United. Big up Latte with the super chat. He said, good morning, Big C. The chase down I saw of Saliba give Mbappe, he is ready for the Premier League. I mean, let's be honest. You're not going to play against many better strikers in the Premier League than Mbappe. You might find somebody that scores a few more goals or this, that, the other. But he is lightning quick, and he dealt with him that day. And I think Saliba has a big future. Not only do I want to see him back at Arsenal next season and playing, Arsenal need to extend his contract. Leaving him with 2 years left on his deal is not good enough. I want him 4 5-year deal, lock him down. And again, you make a good point here, Pap. What if Marseille make the Champions League? That again throws another spanner in the works, because depending on what happens with Arsenal, whether we make Champions League, Europa League, Conference League, or no Europe, if Marseille are in the Champions League and we're not, that again throws a spanner into the works, So, yeah, it's a good point. Ice Age said, Saliba, 6'4", moves like Bolt. He's quick. He covers ground. And listen, we need to get him back in the door next season. It's the YouTube Curtis, as Kev would say. Big up to Shamba. Big up Alvin, I just tuned in, working out of the gym. Big up to you, bro, for tuning in. Twanzebe pocketed Mbappe as well. Look at him now. I mean, listen, I'd rather say less about that, the better. Twanzebe, Saeed's favourite, I think. So you actually want Saliba to perform bad so that they don't make the Champions League? No, I wouldn't say that. I want him to perform well, but want to come back to Arsenal no matter what. One thing I will say, and one thing I've always backed William Saliba with, I'm sure Saliba could have gone to a big French club when he left Saint Etienne. To come to the Premier League as a teenager, especially as a defender as well, showed that clearly his ambition is to make it in the Premier League. So I think he will want to come back and prove himself. I don't think he would want to just go back to France and be seen as kind of a bit of a failure in the Premier League, despite the fact he hasn't even played, which is the thing that is a bit of a shame and a little bit worrying. Raul said it's his dad's 70th birthday today. Big up to your dad, Raul. Big up. Big 70, man. South London's finest says, Big C for me, it's on a knife edge, especially with Arteta's love for holding, and he brought in Pablo Mari. And listen, that's a good point. And I can understand where a little bit of the anxiety comes from the fan base. And I've felt it a little bit around the Saliba situation, because, like you said, Holding was rewarded with a 4-year contract last season. He's made him captain at times as well. Pablo Mari is somebody that he signed, so he must have some sort of affiliation with him. Chambers, I'm not so sure. I would just have liked him to have said in the interview, and listen, he doesn't have to say this. I would have liked him to have said, Saliba is in our plans for next season. That's what I would have liked to have heard him say. Not we'll have a meeting, not it depends on the situation of others. But listen, let's just hope he's back here next season, because for me, he's a top talent. Penalty Spot said, hopefully he will want to extend his contract. Wonder if he'll bring the battling midfielder with him, Guendouzi. Now, I think Guendouzi will definitely be a Marseille player. George said, nah, he's our player. He does what he's told. He's under contract at the end of the day. I mean, listen, contracts nowadays, people, are easier to manipulate and get out of than they were a few years ago in football. That's for certain. I understand what you're saying. If Arsenal, say, listen, I don't care what happens, you're coming back. It's just we want him to come back, wanting to come back, if you know what I mean, not where we're forcing him back. So listen, but this is positive. The news coming out of Saliba's camp, his desire is to come back to Arsenal and prove himself. He is beginning a course of English to learn with his language skills, and he remains in contact with Arsenal players. So for me, he has a bright future at Arsenal Football Club, and let's hope we see it. 1,200 people in the chat. Really, really appreciate your support as always. The numbers that we get in these daily live streams are incredible, really, considering, there's some days there's not too much to talk about, but you still tune in. I really appreciate it. Like the video if you haven't already. It's the best way to support the channel, and subscribe if you haven't already, people. The next 2 weeks, just to give you a bit of a heads up, we're gonna do some collabs. Obviously, it's the international break after this Sunday, so we're gonna have an unfortunate 2 weeks of boring international football. So we're gonna do some collaborations, get some people on, and try and keep it ticking over. Got a few ideas for some shows. So after the video finishes, if there's some video ideas that you would like to see, a best ever Arsenal 11, a worst ever Arsenal 11, best Premier League 11, anything like that, and if there are any people that you would like to see me work with, put it in the comments after the video so I can see it. And, we'll try and get some stuff done. I'm speaking to Hugh Wizzy about getting a show done, things like that. So we're going to get some different guests on as well, people. Brett Jeff has said, your numbers are lit, bro. I never miss a stream. Big up to you. Luke said, big up, Curtis. Just joined. Not going to lie. I'm worried about Conte going to Spurs. Listen, let's talk about that. Let's talk about it. Let me just, people saying I missed a super chat. Big up, Josh. I hope you're well, bro. Said, big up, Curtis. I've been watching Saliba's full games for the last 2 years. He was ready last season. He is already on a par with Gabriel, in my opinion. I mean, there you go. Time will tell, my friend. Time will tell. Let's talk about Antonio Conte. Now, like I said, I put a tweet out earlier. It caused a bit of a stir, but I felt it was a question that I wanted to know the answer to. Like I said, last November, we were on a really bad run. A lot of people were calling for the manager's head. They stuck with him. Then after Villarreal, a lot of people were calling for his head. They stuck with him. Then after the first 3 games of the season, the same thing. I was suggesting on at least on 1 or 2 of those occasions, get Antonio Conte. The response a lot of people met with was Conte wouldn't come to Arsenal. At the time, I would have agreed with it to a certain extent. But then we see Conte joins Tottenham Hotspur. And as Big Tony said, congratulations to Tottenham Hotspur. Today is the day they have finally stepped out of everyone's shadows. 5,000 days without a trophy. Massive club. Round of applause for Tottenham. 5,000 days without a trophy. And I believe the last time they won a trophy, Bukayo Saka was like 8 years old. So, they're definitely allergic to trophies, that's for sure. But let's be honest. Today, on their 5,000th day without a trophy, they have appointed an elite football manager in Antonio Conte. Now, I was having a discussion with somebody this morning, and they were like, I'm not bothered about Conte going to Tottenham. That was their general thing. I said, listen, I understand what you're saying. Nobody expects Conte to win the Premier League, not to win the Champions League, none of that. The fact of the matter is, Tottenham are one of Arsenal's rivals, and they've appointed a better manager than the one they've just sacked. So you would expect that they will improve. He went to Inter Milan when it was viewed impossible to win the Italian league if you weren't Juventus. Within 2 years, he won that trophy. Now, I'm not saying for a second, not for 1 second do I expect him to win the title at Tottenham. What I'm saying is I think he makes them a better team. I think he makes them a far better team. And I can never be happy seeing a rival improve in some way, whether that's a big signing, a big manager, or big investment. School Fuggery said, never forget, we beat Conte's Chelsea 3-0. He's no immortal. Then again, he's leagues ahead of Spurs quality, so it's an absolute coup. And I think that's what a lot of the thing is. It's like, people are like, well, how have they got him? Now, number one, their technical director has worked with him for a number of years. I chose this picture on purpose because I didn't want to put the picture up of him holding the Spurs shirt. That just doesn't sit right on this channel. So we find a different picture. Antonio Conte has reached total agreement with Tottenham as their head coach on an 18-month contract, plus an option to extend, expected to sign around lunchtime. This was a morning report. Obviously, it's been announced. He's holding the shirt up, this, that, the other. But I'm not putting that picture on the screen. For obvious reasons. Number one, it's a manager that I really wanted at Arsenal. And number two, he's holding up a shirt that is basically a shirt I don't want to look at. I still think it could go wrong because Daniel Levy is not an easy man to work with. There are reports coming up on Sky Sports that they'll get 100 million to spend in January. What I would say is we've got to be on our toes as a football club. We can't just dismiss what other clubs are doing. You know, we can't just go, well, you know what? We've got Arteta. Everything's rosy in the garden. Nothing else matters. Football is about what you're doing and about what they're doing. Do your job better than what they're doing their job. Now, we're on a good run at the moment. We have to continue that. We've got some big games after the international break. I just think when you're trying to be the best, you should hire the best if possible. Somebody put a picture up today, a verified account, and he said 20 years ago, Arsenal and Manchester United had the best managers in the Premier League, two of the best managers in world football. Obviously, that was Wenger and Ferguson at the time. And he said that Man United and Arsenal have now got the two worst managers in the top six. Now, I hope that doesn't sound disrespectful to Arteta. I'm just being honest here. You know, Spurs have got Conte. United, obviously, they've got Oli, who's not good either. But, you know, Pep, Klopp, Tuchel, and Conte. And you kind of think to yourself, you know, Wenger left. We went for Emery. That didn't quite work. We've gone for Arteta. Listen, all I will say is it's got to work now. It has to work this time with Mikel Arteta because they've backed him so much that it needs to pay off. It needs to pay off. I can't help but have that little feeling of I kind of wish Arsenal had gone for him, you know? And I know they wouldn't sack Arteta now because Arteta's on a good run. It's just, he's an elite manager. Why would you not want an elite manager at your football club? Of course you would. Now, I understand what people say. He's a short-term manager, 2 or 3 years in general. His demands are high. He doesn't tend to work with young players too often. Arsenal have the youngest squad in the Premier League. So I understand that. On paper, it doesn't totally add up with Arsenal. But of course, there were opportunities prior where we could have maybe made a move. Listen, let me know what you think, people. Am I reading this totally wrong? Are you just totally happy with the direction we're going and Arteta? Or as an Arsenal fan, are you slightly disappointed that, wait a minute, we're a bigger club than Tottenham. We're a better club than Tottenham, more successful. You know, they're hiring a manager like that. It's not so much that they've got him. It's that should we have got him? That's kind of what bothers me more, if you know what I mean. Like, it's not that they've hired him. It's that why didn't we hire him when there was kind of an opportunity to? Let me know what you think. Let's get into your comments. Avi Troop said, Spurs about to spend 100 million in January. Spurs spend money with Conte, who will go for the title next season. This is the type of manager he is. School Fuggery said, where are Spurs getting this war chest from with the stadium they're in debt? Legit question. I think the general thing was, I read something once that when Arsenal paid for the Emirates, that the feeling was let's get this stadium paid off as quick as possible. So I think Arsenal's approach to that was we sell players and we get this paid off as quick as possible. Where maybe Spurs are going to pay it over a longer period of time because they're not in the Champions League now, and this stadium costs a lot more than the Emirates. So it's surprising that they can all of a sudden pull out 100 million in January. Adil said Conte is a bit of an overhype. Sure, he did win Serie A, but about the Champions League that year, last in their group, not even Europa as an opt. I mean, listen, maybe we can talk about his Champions League record. But you can't talk about his league record. Came to the Premier League when Chelsea had finished 10th under Mourinho and won the Premier League, pretty quick, and won, the FA Cup the following year. Gone to Inter Milan, where people were saying Italy has become a one-team league. You can only win that league if you're Juventus. And he gets the Europa League final, then wins Serie A the year after. So, but I want to know your opinions on Conte, especially Arsenal fans, Chelsea fans as well. Marvu, who's a big Chelsea fan, said, doesn't matter, Spurs don't win anything. At least Spurs are showing ambition. And that's kind of what it is. It's like, Fitz said, having Conte instead of Arteta as Arsenal manager would solve a lot of our club's immediate footballing problems. I am simply nowhere near at being convinced by Arteta. I am, and I said this yesterday, if we talk about Arsenal now, we're on a good run. Things are looking up. Things are looking better. I'm more positive than I was 7-8 weeks ago. I'm more positive than I was last season. However, Arteta has been at the club 2 years next month. The FA Cup was great. The 2 league seasons didn't work out so well. It's going to take longer for me, personally, to be convinced by Arteta because we've been on good runs before. It's not about good runs. It's about finishing that run. It's about where you finish the race. I want to see Arsenal back in Europe. I want to see Arsenal playing good football. Continue doing what you're doing, and then I will heap praise on him. At the moment, I'm still withdrawn on my opinion on him because we've seen a lot of issues. Bad Boy said he's finally got decent players now. Listen, he's got no excuse because this is his team now. He signed the majority of this team. The rest of them, pretty much, he gave a lot of them new contracts. So the excuses aren't there now. So this season is his biggest judgment of a football season. But we also don't forget what happened previously. Let's be honest. If you start a new job and you have a bad year in that job, they might get rid of you after that year. They're not going to go, well, you know what? Your job starts now. Let's wipe away last year. You've still got to prove how good you are whilst you're learning on the job, DJ Dre said, big up Curtis, it's about consistency and longevity. Let's see what we can do. I think once Arsenal backed Mikel Arteta in the summer and allowed him, clearly he's had a lot of control over the players that we've signed. Once we reach that point, I think then we had to stick with him because you've signed players that have probably come here on the basis that he is the manager and the project he's trying to build. So this is probably not the right squad to even give to Antonio Conte. He likes more proven winners, experienced players that are going to run through brick walls for him. So Makil said 9 games unbeaten, everything is fine. Listen, things are good now, but everything isn't fine yet. There is still a long, long way to go. There's still a long, long way to go. And listen, I know we're talking about Conte, but I'm kind of trying to tie it in to the Arteta situation. And, does that have an effect on us at all? Or is it just a case, in your opinion, of, listen, focus on what we've got and just do our job? Bobby T said, we missed a trick, mate. Conte is class. Our fans, our deluded fans, as he says, still sticking to a mediocre, naive manager. We will regret this decision. I'm telling you, this good run will end soon for sure. Cap said, does Conte really play good football? He's quite defensive. He a lot of the time he plays free at the back. But the one thing I will say about Conte, he does have this slight reputation of being defensive. I think his Inter Milan team scored something like 90 goals last season. And obviously the year he won the title at Chelsea, he scored a hat full of goals that year. with Diego Costa and so on up front. So I think sometimes it's a bit exaggerated with Conte about his style of football. It's definitely a bit more, rigid though, not as expansive. Mark says, big up Curtis, loving the show, and I agree with you every time. We've been in a crisis. There has always been an elite manager out of a job. Ancelotti, Allegri, Conte. So the problem is the owners. And listen, this is just my point, because I know some people are thinking, you're talking about a manager of another club. How does it relate to Arsenal? What I'm trying to relate to Arsenal is, we know that our rebuild is different to a lot of other clubs because we were leaving a manager that had been at the club for over 2 decades. Now, if it doesn't work, you can look at the owners and say, well, you've brought in 2 managers since Arsene Wenger, and not one of them are elite level. That's no disrespect to Unai Emery, who is a competent manager, of course, but not elite. And Arteta, obviously, it was his first job. Now, you would think that when Arsene Wenger's going and he's leaving such a big hole, a big gap that needs to be dealt with, you would almost think that they would have been running towards an elite manager. Like, right, listen, we need a manager that can handle this rebuild, that understands everything that's going on. So, but why have we stayed away from that type of manager? It's kind of interesting. Now, I get it. We've gone for the young manager. Sometimes when you haven't got it, you have to create it. I remember an interview with Klopp where he said there wasn't an elite right back available to replace Nathaniel Klein. So they replaced him with Trent. They built it from within. So Arsenal may be looking at Arteta and thinking, right, you're not an elite manager, but you can become an elite manager at Arsenal Football Club. But that is very risky, of course. That is very, very risky. If you owned a £2 billion company, would you let somebody manage it that had never managed a company? That is a very risky strategy. Listen, like I said, at the moment, we are building. It looks as if we're moving forward slightly, but it's about where we finish. A lot of people are asking me at the moment, oh, have you changed your mind on Arteta? I'm like, listen, I like what I've seen in the last 9 games. Things have improved. There's reason for optimism. However, we've seen good runs before. Seen Unai Emery go 22 games unbeaten. I went to nearly every Arsenal home game that season under Unai Emery. We were singing, we've got our Arsenal back. I thought we were back. I thought we'd turned the corner. I thought everything was there. And we crumbled in the last 4 games of the Premier League season. So it's not about how you're doing. It's about where you finish. We will judge Mikel Arteta in May. I think that's the best way to let's take it game by game. You heard me yesterday. We did player ratings. I gave him 9 out of 10. Great performance. Brave to play 4-4-2 against Leicester. And I respect it. I think at the moment, we'll take it game by game. I actually think I've been quite fair on Mikel Arteta this season. I've been a lot more patient with him. I haven't been, I've had no Arteta out show. Last year we had a Netflix series. This year we just left it, and, we just got to focus on our job. We've got difficult games after the international break. And we'll see how we do then. We got Liverpool. We got Manchester United away. It will be really tell us how we're going. Am I convinced by Arteta right now? No, I'm not. Am I slightly seeing improvement under him? Yes, I am. I think we are improving under his tenure. But yeah, I think it's going to take time. It is going to take time, but it has to work, because if it doesn't work, where do we go from there if it doesn't? So time will tell. Anthony, big up with the super chat, bro. Said, I'm gutted about them not getting Conte. He will immediately improve them. Arteta isn't the guy. He never was. Keeping him will continue to prove to be our detriment. This unbeaten run is a false dawn. I mean, I can understand why some Arsenal fans have lost patience with him, because you feel like he should have turned a corner sooner than this. It's how long he keeps this run going for. Unbeaten runs we'll lose a game eventually. We know we're not good enough to keep this run up till the end of the season. It's going to be about how does he deal with it when things go off track slightly. If we go to Anfield and get beat, Can we recover the next game? Can we stop it spiraling out of control like it sort of did last November? So, like I say, people, let's be positive about where we are right now. We're in the top 6. We're only a few points off the top 4. There's reason for optimism. Most of our squad is fit and available. We are looking better. We are looking better. I have to give Arteta credit for that. We are looking better. I'm still not fully convinced, but it's about where he finishes. He's got to get us back into Europe, Europa League or Champions League, not no Conference League business. So let's see, Anthony, but I appreciate your super chat, bro. Reggie said defensive myth just because of 3 at the back. I think you're talking about Conte there. Atay said, I'm still Arteta out. I mean, listen, form is not always a reflection of ability. And what I mean by that is a bad striker can have a good run of form. Doesn't mean he's all of a sudden a good striker. And a good player can have a bad run of form. Doesn't mean he's a bad player. In my head, Arteta has struggled in the job at Arsenal outside of winning the FA Cup, which was very good. But in the league, which is your bread and butter, he has struggled. He's on a good run at the moment. A good run does not convince me that you are all of a sudden an elite manager. It's going to take time. I want to see that proof over a season. So for me, I'm just holding back. I'm not out here shouting, get rid of him. I'm not out here saying I'm convinced and I can see the light. I'm just falling back. I'm taking it game by game and I'm saying, do your job. Keep winning games and try and convince this fan base that you are the right manager. The reason I wanted to speak about Conte so much was sometimes I think even when you believe you've got a decent manager at the helm, when an elite manager is available, sometimes I think you have to step away from that manager, even if you think he's decent. I think the biggest losers in this whole situation, and I don't mean this in a disrespectful way, is Manchester United. Manchester United beat Tottenham on the weekend, but it's almost like they lost, because if they would have lost that game, they would have probably sacked their manager and might have got Conte, but they end up winning the game and Conte goes to Tottenham. It's crazy. But listen, we have to see. And Stephen's saying here, are you taking the P, Curtis? Would you seriously think finishing 6th would be a good season? Listen, we got to be totally honest. I don't think at this current moment we have the manager and team to get in the top 4. We might have one, but I think you need both to get in the top 4. I think you need a really good team and a really good manager. At the moment, I don't think we've got both of them. Now, as a fan, we're not going to start celebrating if Arsenal finish 6th. What is 6th to us? But 6th gets us back in Europe. It is a building block. It's finances. It attracts different players. It is building. It doesn't look like it as a fan, but it is. I want top 4. I want top 4 this year. However, City, Chelsea, Liverpool are getting 3 of those top 4 places. Man United's team should get top 4. Their manager might stop them getting top 4. So the reality is then, we've got to be in and around there waiting in case Man United were to fall out of that top 4. You look at Arsenal, you look at maybe a Leicester, a West Ham, a Tottenham. They're all going to be thinking, well, if one of those teams fall out, we need to take their position. So I'm not going to be celebrating if Arsenal if Arsenal finish 6th. But the reality is, top 6 would be progression from where we were last season. And I know some fans don't like that. And I agree with you, Zach. Top 4 is the aim. Top 4 is the aim. But if the top 4 was Chelsea, Liverpool, Man City, Man United, the reality would be those 4 teams have got far better teams than Arsenal. And that, for me, would be the reason why we potentially didn't get top 4. If we get top 4, I believe it would be a shock. I genuinely believe it would be a shock if we got top 4 this season. I think it's top 6 is more realistic, but we've got to be in that mix in case we do get top 4. So listen, I hope we get top 4, but it will be very difficult. If we get it, it'll be incredible. O'Malley said Allegri is a prime example of sometimes a manager does not fix the underlying issues. Tuchel is given people recency bias. He came into a team that was built to win now. Spurs are not. And I hear you on that. You know, Tuchel walked into a team that was probably a striker away from winning the title. And they've got Lukaku now, which is probably why they're top of the league. So, yeah, let's get one thing straight. Conte has not got an easy job on his hands. You know, you got a striker that doesn't want to be there. The keeper looks like he's aging. They could do with a centre-back. There are issues there. Dr. Hill said, this is about to be one of the most interesting Premier League seasons in a very long while. We can't sleep on any team, including ours. Big up, Big C. Big up to you, bro. And listen, the Premier League's on fire right now. You look at the managers that are in the Premier League. You look at some of the players. This is about to be one of the best title races, top 4, top 6 races that we have seen in years. Let me tell you that. There is some excitement this year. I just think with Arsenal, as a fan base, continue to demand the best from the club. I think sometimes our focus comes off the owners too easily. You know, I think they get away with it. They get a free ride, in my opinion. You know, on one hand, we're saying we want top 4, but then we've got to demand more from the owners if we want top 4. They've, you know, why did we not buy our last summer as well as Thomas Partey and fix that midfield in one summer? You know, sometimes I think we call ourselves the mighty Arsenal, but then we accept certain things that don't go along with that. We got to be one way or another kind of thing, you know? Frankie said that Arsenal have been dreadful for some time. You need to be realistic. It went downhill under Wenger. Watch after the move to the new stadium and with the Kroenkes. I mean, listen, but the crazy thing is, Frankie, you move to a new stadium to get better, to get bigger, because more fans in the stadium, which equals bigger support, more finances coming into the football club, bigger sponsorship deals. So you move from Highbury to the Emirates to become a giant of Europe and say, let's go and try and win the Champions League. Let's go and sign some of the biggest players in the world, which is why it's crazy when you look at the overall picture and think, when we were at Highbury, most seasons it was Arsenal, Man United winning the Premier League. We go to the Emirates and all of a sudden we can't even get near the Premier League. So what's happened in that time? Why are we not, you know, enjoying the fruits of our labor that we've been to the Emirates? We've sold a lot of our best players. Why are we not now living that high life? Why are we not spending 250 million in a transfer window? You know, why are we not signing top players in Europe? No disrespect to the players that we've signed, but surely that's what we moved to the Emirates for. So it is a question that you have to, you know, bring up and sort of say, have we kind of been lied to? And you know what? Next international break, we're definitely going to do another stream regarding the ownership and the direction of the football club, because I think it's something we should always look at. We should never take our foot off the gas. Whether you're Arteta, whether you want him here, you would have wanted to come, whatever. The ownership is one thing that I think 99% of the fan base agree with. The way they have ran this football club at times has let us down as a fan base. Like you said, Brett, highest ticket prices in Europe. In Europe. More expensive to watch Arsenal than it is to watch Messi, Mbappe and Neymar up front for PSG. You know? And those are the things that disappoint me. Yeah, they spent 150 this summer, but it's the least they could do. There's been other summers where they should have spent. I think what they've done wrong, the Kroenkes, and I know we're going off topic a little bit, they've never built from a position of strength. I think if you want to stay ahead in life, we have this habit in life of we react when there's a crisis, when things get really bad. People who are really successful, in my opinion, they build even when they're being successful. How many years did Arsenal finish fourth, third, fourth? And you go, right, if they buy a top quality striker, we can win the title. And we didn't buy that top quality striker, that Higuain, that Benzema, that Luis Suarez. And when we started spiraling out of the top 4, it was, oh my God, it's all going wrong. Now let's start spending money. But now you're even further behind. You're even further behind. So that 150 million we've spent this summer, that's just to take us back to where we was. Do you know what I mean? When Wenger left, not even when Wenger was here. When Wenger left, we were 5th. We fell out of Champions League. We've now got to spend 150 million to get to a point where we sacked Arsene Wenger from. And that, to me, is down to the board. Because when Arsene Wenger left, they should have gone, right, Unai Emery, 150 million. Go and fix it. The year Unai Emery came in, they gave him 65 million. He bought about 5 players. It was a shocking window, and this is the problem. Yeah, you've given Arteta 150, but this team probably needs 250. I think we need another 100 million into that team. We certainly need a 40, 50 million pound centre mid, I would say, to go in there next to Partey. Even though I like Lokonga, I would still get another midfielder. I still think at the end of the season, we're going to need an expensive striker to come in if Lacazette goes, which I think he will. Aubameyang's aging. That's 100 million on a midfielder and a striker easily as well. So don't forget the owners, people. That's one thing I will say. I don't forget the role that they've played in the direction that Arsenal are in at the moment. And I think at times they've even stitched the manager up a little bit. Sometimes I have a little moan about Arteta, but you can never forget what the owners have done, people. You can't forget it. If Tottenham are willing to spend 100 million in January, I think Arsenal need to go into January and go and sign someone. Even if it's one player. Even if, I watched Bissouma the other day against Liverpool. I didn't even know the guy was out of prison. I thought the man was locked up. Put in a fantastic performance against Liverpool. And I'm like, we need someone like that in January. Somebody who can make that difference to Arsenal. Remember when we signed Aubameyang in January? Proper signing, 60 million. Lifted the whole football club when Sanchez had just left. South London's finally said, Big C, did you see Suarez comments on not joining Arsenal? Yeah, it was a shame. It was a shame. He said he was convinced he wanted to leave and, they talked him out of it. I think if the offer had been accepted, he would have come regardless of what Gerrard... He said Steven Gerrard had this meeting with him and talked him out of it. If the Arsenal bid would have been accepted, then he would have joined us regardless of what Steven Gerrard was saying. Big up View Arsenal said, yes, Curtis dropped in to add a like. I'll watch later. Big up to you, bro. Dollar Hyde said, big up Big C. What do you make of the news that Newcastle are trying to bring Emery in? Listen, I think Emery would be a good appointment for a team like Newcastle right now. They're in a mess. They've got money to spend, but if they carry on with no manager, they're going to get relegated. It don't matter how much your owners are worth. They need him to steady the ship, keep them up, and build from there. I saw a tweet. Someone said he struggled to speak English. How's he going to learn to speak Toon, the Toon Army? But listen, I think for him, get that English sorted out. I think that will help him a lot. Communication, I think, makes it a lot easier to manage when you can speak the language fluently. And I know it's difficult. But yeah, I think Emery will do a good job at Newcastle. I like Emery, to be honest. I think he's all right. James, thank you for the super chat, bro. Said, Cronkies don't want number one. They just want the name. Owners and hipsters killing us. I'm so ashamed. Listen, the guy told us publicly, I did not buy Arsenal to win the league, to win trophies. He can't be any clearer. He bought Arsenal to say, look at me, I own Arsenal. I have an American football team. I have an ice hockey team. I have a basketball team. I have an English football team. It's a trophy for him. He's put £15 million out of his own money in the whole time he's owned the football club. The Manchester City owners have put 1.1 billion in. These are levels we're dealing with, people. So it is what it is when it comes to this owner. Don't take your foot off the gas with this owner, people. Yeah, he gave us 150, but we need another 150. Next summer, I want another 150. Then show us that you're serious. Get us a centre mid, get us a striker. Put us in a position to go and thrive. At the moment, we're in a decent position. We've had a 9-game unbeaten run. We're 6th. We're not too many points off 4th. If this owner is serious, what he is supposed to do in January is say to Mikel Arteta, what do you need in this team? Maybe we can't address everything now, but tell me what you need. Okay, you need a centre mid. Granit Xhaka's injured. Partey goes AFCON. El Neni goes AFCON. Go and buy Aouar in January for 30 million. Go and buy Renato Sanchez. Go and buy Bruno Guimaraes. Go and buy Basuma. Even if we just sign one, we probably don't get the striker in January. Show your intent. Show that you're serious. And then we will see if these owners are serious. But at the moment, I didn't get too carried away with that 150. This club needs 300 million probably to get us talking about top four. You know? Johnny said, we are taking shape slowly, Big C. We are. We are taking shape slowly. We are. But we want it quickly, unfortunately. Football fans are... Arsenal have been through a lot of pain in recent years. I think we're entitled to say, give us some success now. We want something now. We want to be back in Europe. We want to win a trophy. Arsenal are a massive football club. They're entitled to demand that. Penalty spot. When is the next member stream? It'll be next week. We're going to do one next week and the week after. We'll do one both weeks in the international break. People, 1,750 people in the chat. Unbelievable numbers. Considering there isn't too much news at the moment. Don't forget, people, I will be back tonight at 7:45. Atalanta against Man United watch along. If you want a laid back Champions League watch along, people. Big up to Andrew, said, big up Curtis, just joining the stream. Wanted to say hi, sheep, by keeping me busy. Let's finish with our final subject before we get out of here, people. Only a short stream today. Arsenal are targeting Luka Jovic as a potential replacement for Lacazette, according to Football 365. Initially a loan deal with an option to buy. Real Madrid want 25 million euros for the Serbian international. Now, this is believed, I've read this story now, this is believed to be a potential January move. I want to ask you a couple of things. Would you be happy with Luka Jovic? And how much do you think he improves us? I've got to be honest, I've got reservations around Jovic because I've now looked at him and thought, well, you had that great season at Eintracht Frankfurt. And it was a really good season. I think he got 10 goals in the Europa League and nearly 20 goals in the league. But outside of that, he's done pretty much nothing. You know, he went back to Eintracht Frankfurt on loan, got about 4 goals in half a season. That's nothing to write home about. And he's done absolutely nothing at Real Madrid. Now, Real Madrid is not an easy club to succeed at. Players like Arjen Robben, you know, struggled at Real Madrid. Doesn't mean you're a bad player. But I'm not convinced by it. I've got to be totally honest. Yeah, if it was a loan with an option, not the end of the world, because if he does bad, you send him back. If he does good, you sign him. But what are your thoughts, Luka Jovic, people? Let me know. He's 23 years of age, turns 24 in December. He's only made He's only made 5 appearances off the bench this season for Real Madrid. He's got 1 assist, no goals. Obviously, the boy Benzema is up front handling business. So he's not going to get much game time. And it's believed Ancelotti is willing to let him go in January. 25 million euros. You're looking, what, 21.5 million pounds. It is cheap. I have to admit, I'm not convinced by him. If it was a loan with an option, not the end of the world. You look at him and you send him back. If it was a loan with an obligation, I would be saying wait until the summer. I think we can get through with Lacazette and Aubameyang and Martinelli until the summer and try and get a better, bigger striker. BX Gunner said Vlahovic will never come to Arsenal. Juve most likely. I know a lot of clubs are looking at him. We need a versatile player as a striker, says Zhao. South London's finest. I'm not sure about him. Stinks of another Ceballos situation. Craig said Novic. Forget Jovic. Man said Novic. João Felix sided. He's going, well, listen, João Felix, I would love him at Arsenal, but I don't see that one happening. Sir Atlas said Jovic is twice as good as Lacazette. Trust me on that. It's interesting. Henry said, what about Belotti? Yeah, he was all right. You know, he's slowed down a little bit. He was being hyped about a lot not too long ago. Superfan TV said, I'd rather get Lautaro and Martinez. I mean, already rumors linking him with Chelsea. Not Chelsea, sorry, with Tottenham now. Conte has gone there. Joel said, Curtis, I'm having chest issues recently, hoping it's not heart-related. Got scanned yesterday. Get well soon, Joel. I'm sure everyone in the community wishes you the same. Hope there's nothing too serious. And let us know how you get on. And like Jamal says, get well soon. So, yeah, most people saying they're not convinced by Jovic. Stevie said, Curtis not convinced in Jovic. Absolutely, he'll be fire. Fancy Code said Alexander Isaac is the one and only perfect replacement for Lacazette, not Jovic, or maybe 1 year extension to Laka. And everyone echoing the thoughts. Get well soon, Joel. Martial, yeah, a few people saying Martial. I couldn't see Man United selling him to us. That's the only thing. I couldn't see them helping us. Osimhen, for me, is somebody that I would love to get. I just think Napoli, they paid 60 million for him. They're going to ask for 80, 90 million for him. It's not happening. Immobile is who we need. I mean, Immobile, I think, isn't he nearly 30 now? 31 he is, I don't think they'll be going for Immobile. He turns 32 in February as well. So I think they'll wait till the end of the season. I would like Osimhen. I would like Vlahovic. Wouldn't mind Calvert-Lewin, a bit injury-prone, though, and it would be expensive. Broads, big up Broads in the chat. Hope you're well, my bro. Calvert-Lewin, I think, is a very good target man. Ian said Tony, if he finishes with 15 goals. I have to admit, Tony, for me, would be, low down on the list. He wouldn't be a priority for me. Martial gives me Henry vibes. Would you take Martial at Arsenal and play him through the middle? There's definitely options. Latoro is Conte's man. Should have gotten him this summer. And I believe we had the chance to get him as well before Chelsea moved for Lukaku. People, short stream today, just short of an hour. I'm out of here now. 1,750 people in the chat. Smash the like on the way out and subscribe if you haven't already. I'll be back tonight, 7:45, Champions League watch along, Atalanta against Manchester United. We'll also be back tomorrow at the same time for Liverpool against Atletico Madrid. Arsenal content back tomorrow as well around 2 p.m. So make sure you join me for that. Smash them likes on the way out, people. And I'll be back later on. Enjoy the rest of your day, people. And make sure you check out that stream with Kevin Campbell yesterday. It was a good one. Enjoy the rest of your day, people. I will see you soon. Bless.